Welcome back. Welcome back to Mindful Matters podcast. It is so good to have you. And I'm Oresztesz Murgacs, one of your co-hosts. I am very happy to have you here and to see you join us again for our current episode on taking your power of learning to the next level. I'm here with my co-host, Richard Haggerty, coach of coaches, empowering people to learn for the longest time and offering important things to learn to your unconscious. Richard, welcome.
Hey, welcome, Oresztesz. Brilliant to be here, my friend.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm not going to further embarrass myself in trying to remember which number of our podcast it is. I believe it's number 17, but whatever number it is, I'm very happy to have you here with us and join us along the ride, because today we are going to get something that is very, very powerful. Of course, you cannot, we can't give you the entire system in just a short half hour we have. So if you want to learn more, make sure that you follow Richard and you find more places in which you can learn how to learn. But let's jump in, Richard. You have a very, very interesting thing that you brought for our listeners today.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Oresztesz. Look, this is what I call the universal study system, and this is sort of something that's been my own kind of learning evolution for the last, so we say, 23, 24 years, and it's why I started studying NLP and hypnosis. In fact, it's the only reason I got into it was to really improve my ability to learn and read, and through doing that, what do you know, it opened up a lot of other avenues as well. And
when you focus on,
like a lot of other,
when you dedicate your
yes
time to it, you actually got better at it, and you have good tools now.
Yes, and it helped with other areas as well. It turned out that was really cool, and it's interesting because, like a lot of people, I struggled, or I wanted to learn to do things more efficiently, and so I went for many years before that with the traditional route of trying to speed read and cram stuff in my mind, which had certain limitations. And then later on, I worked out how to start to trust my unconscious and use the deeper reservoirs inside us, and that has led to some really, really interesting stuff, a whole journey. And in fact, what I'm doing at the moment is, the way that I'm teaching this now is the real most simple possible iteration that requires very little technical knowledge. Just a real big picture understanding is enough to start getting some real, to develop a very different relationship with reading or learning any kind of material.
Right. And simple is the best. Simple, if first of all, simple means that you have the level of mastery that you can really distill the message to the most essential principles that you want to follow. You make sure that it is really boiled down to what really needs to happen. But do not mistake simple with powerless or too simple, because
yes,
if you have studied this for such a long time and you've had your experiment, you tried what works, you have removed what does not work. So just because it sounds simple, remember that what Richard does tell you, it is what has to happen. That is actually what you need to make sure that happens.
Yeah, thanks, Oresztesz. And actually, I will tell you, there's just a quick story. So there's three steps to this. In fact, there's a couple we can add, but there's three basic big picture steps and two principles we'll talk about. But I want to just absolutely iterate and expand on just very quickly what you said about making it simple. I added a ton in my original system. There was a lot of getting into a relaxed state, focusing minds, generating different states inside, then getting into peripheral vision and being able to take time to load information in unconsciously. And you know what? I love that. And a couple of other people did, but most people who learned similar or certainly related systems struggled with it. So why keep the friction there and why keep the struggle there? So we've removed that so that hardcore people like me can still have that there if we want, but that we can keep the simplicity of what we're trying to do. And in a nutshell, the three steps and the two processes are this. The two fundamental processes we're going to use, or two of them anyway, the mental models we'll use as building blocks are elaboration and the Zeigarnik effect. Okay. And they fit into the three steps, which are priming, incubation, and expression. So what I'll do is it'll probably, if I outline the three steps, then just dive in and ask me any questions, and I'll explain how the Zeigarnik effect and elaboration fit in with those. Okay, because these are real easy, simple processes that are very, very well established within the psychological literature, and you can take them. Once you take them and can internalize them, you have a lot more confidence in terms of your ability to learn.
Nice, nice. I'm just looking forward to having the whole pie.
Nice.
The priming, incubation, and expression.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You have got the pie there. Exactly. Exactly. That's lovely. Exactly. Look, and you can see why, those of us with hearty appetites, why we're going to enjoy this. And actually, we're not going to be biting off more than we can chew, because this is a real tasty delight, Oresztesz. All right. And just really briefly, the part one, priming, is about formatting your mind to be receptive to new knowledge and ways of being. Okay. It's letting your inner mind know and start to make connections for you and find the answers that you need. Okay.
Right.
And
right.
The second step.
That sounds like something that that we have seen in many places. The start with why, yes. know your reasons. There have been so many ways in which we have seen this message. Maybe it's because it's important.
Yes. Yes. And well, let's dive in, and we'll explain how this is so important and why this is so important, Oresztesz. So here's the thing. When most people come to reading, typically, even very advanced readers, they're trying to, at least for non-fiction books, okay, they're trying to maybe either go through all of it or remember information or retain it, okay? It's far easier to, and more practical and more useful for most tasks, to have a very clear overall idea of what context can I create where this will be a done deal. In other words, whereabouts would I be using this information? And how will I feel that's different when I am using this and applying it in this specific context? Okay. Now, here's the thing. The Zeigarnik effect, which you mentioned before, is basically a phenomenon that people have stronger memory for unfinished or unresolved tasks compared to completed ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to be very, very cunning here. We're going to set such a strong intention, which is priming, which is letting our unconscious mind have a clear, sensory-rich picture of where we want to go and what information we'd like to do, and particularly what we will be doing as a result of having that information. But priming, in this case, is an incomplete task. And what that's doing now is, if you take time up front and you take this serious enough to even write it down briefly or record it to a device, just so that it's clear inside your mind, you set a very strong priming intention. You've started to leverage the Zeigarnik effect for your unconscious mind. What that means is that there will be part of you that's trying to solve that, that's trying to find the answer, that's working on that already for you.
Yes, I mean, that is absolutely the most powerful point to which you can take learning that comes from a book or possibly a video. As
Yes.
trainers, as a trainer myself, when I present something, I want to make sure that the person actually has an actual experience.
Right.
Actually, that's why I say the word actually, because it's actual experience. Apologies. So what I usually do is I make sure that whoever I'm trying to teach something to, they have an experience of it, even if it's a reduced level
Mm.
experience. But as soon as something is put in context, your mind is so much more inclined to take relevant, actual information that you do remember, that is practical, that you will use, that you can then build on and improve, but you already have an example of it. The closest you can get to putting something into practice as you're reading it, as you're learning about it, is priming your mind, just as Richard is describing, that you think about how
Yeah.
you are going to use it, because then your mind, it already knows where to place the information. That's one of the biggest things that I have to keep helping my children with, for example, is when
Yep.
they ask me, well, yeah, I hate this or that subject. When is it ever going to be useful for me? And because when you feel like you're receiving information that is absolutely irrelevant for your life, your mind kind of has to shut down to keep you safe. There is so much information out there that you need certain filters. So, priming to how you're going to actually use it and feel good about using it like this, more knowledge, better engagement, it's incredibly powerful. It does take your
It
learning
is.
already to the next level.
Beautiful. Thank you. I really like that, Orestes. Absolutely. In that priming thing, we're taking it to the next level by setting a clear intention in context. So if you afterwards, at that point, once you've done that, and I suggest writing it down in the beginning because you can refer back to it easily. Okay, you can refer back to your written statement even of how will I know? What will I be seeing, hearing, feeling, and doing?
Would
That's
you mind giving
different.
a quick example, practical example?
Sure. Sure, sure. So let's have a look. Recently I read a book on building a second brain, okay, and on like developing a kind of, should we say, a system to organize information. And
Mhm.
specifically, I have there, okay, um, how can I use this? How can I use this information in this book with a particular project that I'm doing,
Mm.
okay, to in fact, actually I did it actually I used it specifically the very first time to arrange a camping trip. So how can I use the information in this book to arrange a camping trip that everyone enjoys, where we go somewhere fun, new, novel, where we have the smoothest experience, the most fun experience, and everyone enjoys it. Okay, so that gives you an
Wonderful.
idea of how contextual it is. So as it turned out, for this particular book, I spent a lot of time actually with it, more time than I would with most books. But the key thing here is that once you've set an intention, it's good to maybe have a little read or maybe browse it for a little bit. I would say maximum maybe of like, initially about between 20 to 30 minutes.
Mm.
But once you've had a look in relative to a clear outcome, there will come a point where you're going to put that book down. Now, here's the beauty. A lot of people don't realize, let me put it this way. We've all had the experience of losing our car keys or some object, and then we just tried frantically and hard to figure it out, and we couldn't find that information. We just didn't know where it is.
Maybe
We
looking
then
at it with your
forgot
glasses
about
that
it.
you're also forgetting.
Yes, you exactly, exactly. Maybe we just need to look in the mirror and see we actually were wearing the glasses. But the point is, when we stopped looking, the information came through. So the metaphor that I use is that we have the working memory, your conscious mind. This working memory is quite limited. Now researchers think it's around about 4 kind of like core pieces of information that we can focus on at one time. Okay, and then we have the unconscious mind, what I like to think of as the inner genie, which has an awful lot more intelligence. It's the intelligence that can remember to breathe when we're sleeping at night. It can create dreams for us. It creates our learnings. It makes connections between difficult pieces of information or contradictory ideas. It can do parallel processing. Therefore, the actual learning and insight that we want to have happen, we want to have happen unconsciously. And for us to know that we have done that learning, we want to have our working memory clear enough so that we can receive the signals of insight, of understanding, the intuitive leaps of learning as they happen. So what I found, and the easiest way to explain this probably is just to give another real quick example. So priming, I was learning a particular subject and I got stuck. So I wrote down what the stuck area was of the question and my outcome to have it resolved. Then I left that on the computer. I went out for a run. As I'm out for the run, very mindfully moving, completely focused on my breathing, the environment, everything else around me. After a while, whilst my mind was completely clear, the answer came through.
Nice.
When I came back, I started to write that up, which is the third step expressing it. So what most people try to do is they are trying to cram all their learning and understanding and information without intention into their conscious mind. Okay, and it's good to have a conscious mind, and it's good to be able to focus critically on things consciously, 100%. But what if you could allow the more creative part of you to be able to make associations and give you insights? Then all you need to do is leverage and use time as your ally and time as your friend, by allowing yourself to mindfully change gears. So this step 2 incubation is about mindfully changing gears. And what I found is if you engage in an activity, could be running, could be walking, could be cooking, something with a little bit of movement where your body is fully engaged in it, your mind is engaged as well, so that it's completely separate from what you're doing, you will allow time for this information to start to kind of work its way through you. Sleeping at night and allowing yourself to sleep on it as well is another great way of doing it. But this works really, really well. If you can do that and you can get used to mindfully changing gears and trusting, just having a little bit of trust in this, then you'll start to see information seep through.
So are you saying that you have given to our listeners the way to how to purposefully take charge of what we all know that has happened to us? Everybody has had the shower insight. Everybody's had the, I left the project to finally not stop thinking about it. I went somewhere and then the idea hit me kind of experience. It is something very common. And I mean, not to sound crass at all, but you know, when you are in the bathroom, you are more focused on your body, either, you know, when you're taking a shower or when you're experiencing, you know, whatever the biological processes have to be. And we're not talking about what happens there, but what happens in principle is that you are really present. You are in the moment. You have let go of all those things where you're trying so hard. I'm not sure that this is true, but I kind of conceptualize the conscious mind a little bit like a bookshelf that has, you know, the 7 plus minus 2 pieces of items of books. And then, you know, if you put one more, then it's just going to push off one of the books. Or if you put a really thick one that's like 3 books thick, that something that really occupies your mind, it is going to push off 3 other books. Now, I have a sense. I'm not even sure this is exactly how it is, but metaphorically it works. When you're looking for your keys, you might have a 7-book wide book saying, "I need the keys." So the one that remembers where the keys were actually falls off, and you can walk by your keys and not see them because you're so focused on how badly you need them or how terrible things will be if you forget about them. So
I love it. I love it.
yeah, so
And
basically
Oresztės, just your metaphor is beautiful. Yeah.
sorry, just wanted to summarize. You're basically giving us a way on how to take advantage, how to take conscious charge of this amazing process by priming.
Yep.
Is there a middle step there is my question. So you prime yourself, then you do the reading, the learning, the exposure, then you allow the incubation step to happen, and then we are still missing one last step.
Yeah. So I'll answer that. So basically, it's prime, incubate, and express. Actually, just the more kind of conscious, or there are some processes in there that I talk about in a little bit more detail, which turn it from pi to prior. And that's basically where you'll prime, you'll read a little bit. So you'll actually just engage with the material a little bit. The incubate is like a kind of an ongoing trust that you have once you've primed effectively. Okay. Then what I do is I reflect on the material in a very particular way. Okay, and I'll talk about that as well. So that's really where the elaboration comes in, and then the expression. But if we go to expression, then I can come back and I can show you, it'll make more sense. So once you've got a clear intention, I want to go and I want to have this journey, I want to have this trip somewhere, I want to go and do that, or I want to give this presentation, or I want to write a blog, or I want to write a particular book on a topic. Okay, it's a very, very clear intention. Or I want to write the first book on a topic, or I want to have a clear set of chapter outlines for this particular project. And then you can do a little bit of reading, allow it to incubate. As ideas start coming through, you're going to start engaging with them, and I'll talk about that last because that's the kind of ongoing process you can do. But expression is where you share and articulate. Okay, so the purpose of expression is to start molding the insights and ideas to give birth to products, services, presentations, even holidays, even just the things that you would like to have more of in your life. And the basic idea here is the principle of articulation, that when you start articulating your ideas, even starting with the vaguest impulses, the vaguest ideas, the vaguest thoughts, you will start to get more insights into that. Okay. Yes. So this is really huge. And in fact, Richard Feynman, he's really famous for what's called the Feynman technique, okay, which is a learning strategy that helps people understand and retain information by teaching it to someone else. Okay. Because when you start to articulate something or explain it, it forces you to clarify your own understanding of the concept. And it does at least 3 brilliant things. One, expressing in this way makes you synthesize the gist of the core understandings that you have relevant to your outcome. Secondly, it lets you organize your ideas systematically. Thirdly, which is really beautiful, it will help you to uncover confusion for the next steps for learning. So that's just one aspect of expression, okay? So that once you have primed your intention, you've shifted gears mindfully, you will have the opportunity then to start making it real. You want to be able to know that you have achieved that outcome at the beginning. This is where you close the open loop of the Zeigarnik effect. You've opened it, your mind's been working on it, you've mindfully allowed space for that to come through. Your book analogy was beautiful, Oresztės, because most people will have, they've got a 7-volume book. This is volume 1, how I must do it. Volume 2, the stress of getting it done. Volume 3, this is why it was difficult before. Volume 4 has all these volumes in. And what we're doing is we want to clear those volumes out so it's an empty book space. So maybe a letter can appear. Maybe a piece of music can appear. maybe a phone call can appear, maybe a video can appear, maybe a new book can appear. So you are allowing space for something else to come through. And I want to just put there, just make sure we've got there, just people understand the principle of elaboration and how that fits in with the Zeigarnik effect and all the steps that we've done here. One of the most powerful insights from psychology as applied to learning is the principle of elaboration, which simply means that elaboration is a strategy for enhancing your memory by adding more information to what is being learned. Okay, so you can add details, you can add examples, you can add connections to your personal experiences. Okay, so throughout this process that we're doing here, what I do is I will reflect on the passages that I read, the passages that stick out to me, relevant to my outcome. And what I tend to do is, as I feel interested in those, I will actually articulate as I go along. So I'll make a little note of my reactions and my thoughts and my insights as they come along. So I will note those. They could happen whilst I'm reading the passage, or they could happen as a result of incubating. But what I tend to do is I'll tend to read, mark up certain passages electronically, and I allow the process I allow myself to incubate. And I have a program which will just remind me of certain key passages. It comes up. As those certain key passages come up, it's got a section where I can write my thoughts, my associations, my ideas, my insights, what we call free noting. And that is where, using that process of elaboration, combined with the Zeigarnik effect, means that you're getting all this stimulation at a deep level. It's like the true meaning of education. You are drawing out from within you your own understanding, your own links from the material that you're reading, relevant to your initial outcome that you set. And that's why I really love this, Oresztesz, because you can scale it up or down. Okay, yeah. You can scale it up or down. I'll just give you one extra little. I'm going to give you one little nugget on this. Why I love it. Okay, let's say I'm going to give a presentation of masterclass on a particular topic. All right, I will read research papers. I'll read blogs. I'll read tweets. I'll read certain books. The program that I use allows me to tag those, any sections that I take, I can tag them relevant to that project. So my outcome is deliver this presentation, deliver this masterclass. Okay. So I'll call it masterclass, 15 Universal Study System. Anytime I'm reading on a blog or a website or a book, I can tag that. And eventually I have one page that pulls through all the information across different disciplines, different genres relevant to that, with the notes and associations that I've made, whilst it's all incubating in the background, relevant to the priming that I said up front. How cool do you think that is?
Absolutely. That sounds like a very sophisticated and powerful system that seems to be really easy to apply.
Yeah.
If someone is already at your level of be willing to engage with information like this, either for a presentation, for a masterclass, for their own article, whatever product, whatever information they are ready to present, would you like to share with them what that program is that you have referred to a few times? Free plug for
yeah, sure. So the program that I have is the Universal Study System. So we'll put a link below that once it's recorded, the Universal Study System 2023. Okay. There's also a particular program that I use online called Readwise, which is a really nice program that pulls together information from all different sources. So websites, blogs, it will pull them together from books on your iPad, books on your Kindle.
Nice.
So I still enjoy reading, particularly fiction books. I like reading physical copies. I do actually like it for non-fiction ones. But what I will often do is I will read the physical book, but if I want to mark it up, The digital one is very good because you can just literally get your finger, trace a particular passage.
Right.
You can even make notes as you go, or you can do them afterwards after you've incubated on it the next day.
Awesome.
And just to give you a little idea of how powerful this is, Oresztesz, I had a 300-page book on quite technical, dense, psychological topic. I was able to go through the first 100 pages in about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, marking it up quickly, relevant to what I wanted, so that when after I incubated and I came back to review and reflect on it, I had everything that I needed, only the essence of the key parts there available to me. So it makes it a lot more efficient to do that, because when it comes time to assembling your final delivery, your final deliverable, your final product, you have that there. And let me tell you, when you have a photo of an amazing camping trip where you're diving into the cool waters of a waterfall, with the waterfall streaming in the background, your son's enjoying there, and a friend of yours is there as well, and you have photos of you around the campfire making marshmallows, then that to me is the power of setting and priming a strong intention. And it makes me love the kind of reading and learning that I'm doing, where I know that I can take it and I can adjust it, and I can overcome that challenge that many of us had growing up in maybe schools that weren't so great. Like, why am I learning this? Well, you're engaging with this to enhance and improve your life on your own terms.
That is beautiful. And I believe it is also a wonderful place to pause for today, to learn and empower your life on your own terms. Use your learnings for what is actually going to be applicable for you. And if you would like to know more, make sure that you do look up and follow Richard, and you jump in, because that sounds like an amazing program, Richard. To really drill this down, really understand how it works and understand every little detail of it and practice it, that sounds like an awesome opportunity. So thank you. Thank you, our listener. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope you are taking very valuable information with you that is going to enhance your ability to live life on your own terms. And I look forward to seeing you back next week, because we will be here.